Oh, yes. Show dirt time, gang. And you know what? This one is filthy, if you know what I mean, boy. We were down in Texas, in deep South Texas, on Choke Canyon Reservoir. There ain't no way I can go home yet. Look how he ate it. Look at how he got that bait. I don't know what to do. I'm supposed to go cover the Bassmaster Elite Series, and I just don't feel like I can leave. And they were biting. They were biting bladed jig stuff, coming up shallow. And near the end of a show with Keith Combs, I picked up that little dude right there, a Strike King hybrid hunter. And if you'll notice, it has a really weird lip. And I missed one bass, a big one, but it told me what was coming. You all know this. You just get pissed, losing one. And it happened again and again. I'm like, biggin'. And you're like, oh, yeah. That's a biggin'. Barely hooked. Oh. But they staying hooked today, gang. You know, when I first saw this plug, a guy named Todd Castledine from Texas showed me this plug, and I kind of probably like you, I was like, yeah, it's a shallow running crankbait, big deal. No, how wrong I was. And here's the beauty of a hybrid hunter. Number one, very, very hard to get your hands on right now throughout the country, but it's different than any shallow water crankbait I've ever fished. In fact, the best way to put it is, and I talked about this in the show that I shot alone down there. I started with a red-eye shad, and I threw that hybrid hunter out there, and here's the great thing. That's a darn good bait, man. How about that? A shallow running crankbait with a shallow running lip wants to dive like that, okay? It wants to dive down in the water column. The great thing about that crankbait right there, you can control it by the angle of your rod, like I was at 12 o'clock a lot, to keep it above that hydrilla. The other thing is that bait runs more horizontal than diving down because of that unique L lip on it. And it was critical to stay about that far above that hydrilla and not bog down in it. The other great thing about this bait, very buoyant, okay? So if I would hook into a stump, or I would hook some of that hydrilla, I could clean it and that bait would rise, where a lot of those fish would instantly react on it. But that bill doesn't make that bait dig. Doesn't dig. It literally stays horizontal in the water, but that's a big fish bait, man. That is all Texas right there. And it looks like an Easter egg. It's got a weird lip on it. I was throwing it in gold with a black back. I had it with number 2 TROKAR EWG trebles on 20-pound SEAGUAR AbrazX. And the other thing about that bait, very, very, very big profile. I was throwing that bait on a LEWS Hypermag reel and a 7'4" heavy action crankbait rod. It's hard to even say that that's a crankbait rod. It's more like a bladed jig rod. It's got a lot of backbone, not only to rip out of that grass when you hang up, but also when you hang a big one. And when those fish would hit that bait, number one, you could tell it was a bait they had not seen a lot. I was in one bay, and I'll never forget this. It was near the end of the day. I was in a bay, flooded timber, and it had a little pig trail in it of clean water with that hydrilla. And it was an area that guys were crushing them earlier in the week on a bladed jig. Those fish got really conditioned, and I was throwing it early in the week. And instantly when I went to that hybrid hunter, you could tell it was something they had never seen before.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, that's awesome, dude.
And you could manhandle them with that real heavy power rod, heavy line. You kind of owned them. Josh, look how he got that bait. Get in here.
Oh, oh, what just happened? What? Look at that lure. That's a big one. That's a big one. What a day. Game over.
I guarantee you, if you fish lakes that have any type of shallow grass, that hybrid hunter is a weapon.
I just sent out a sales pitch. It's a hard bait to get your hands on for a reason. That thing works.
I just had another one. There he is. Is this happening? He come from under the boat and ate it.
I threw that hybrid out and I was watching it come by the boat and they were coming up from the Death Star, eating right next to the boat. I've seen that with smallmouth a little bit, not largemouth. I've never seen that.
Gang, if you like this, hit like, subscribe, the little notification bell. There will be more show dirt to come.